it is going live. There you go. Got it. So in a moment, it should come up on my phone.
And there we go. Do I just share that, do I?
Yeah, is it on your screen now? Yeah, just share it and let me see on mine, because then I can see the comments then, you see. And then we can start like, there we are, looking good. Comments will appear here.
Fabulous.
So Isabelle, now known as Izzy to me because it's quicker. I don't know you at all, but I know that you knock around with scoundrels and scallywags. Is this true?
Yes.
People like Jane Platt.
Oh, yeah. I love Jane.
Yes, I love Jane too. Jane was at school with my daughter, my youngest daughter. And then she became a student of mine. I've got no idea how she got through those qualifications.
Oh, don't be mean.
But I love her. I love her. And we keep bumping into each other, and she's still knocking about and she's doing good works in the community by all accounts. Right. So that's a good thing. And who else can I think of? Amy G.
Oh, yeah. Amy Gigi. Yeah. Very
Amy,
good friend of mine.
Amy Gigi and all those type of people. And who else now? Who else can I think of? Can you think of anybody else? What about Annie Bongo?
Oh, Annie. Yes. Yeah. I did my Palawa training with Annie.
That's right. Yeah. Palawa indeed. Yeah.
Beautiful woman.
They're all like weirdos, aren't they? And they're all, don't tell them this, but they're a bit rough, aren't they, really?
I love a good weirdo.
Yeah, me too, darling. Let me give you a bit of history about me, because we've never met. I'll just keep it brief, which is impossible for me, but I'll do the best. I was born in Seacombe. And so born in Seacombe, went to St. Joey's, right? Terrified all my life, brought up in a very strict Irish Roman Catholic background.
Yeah.
At 11 years of age, sent off to train to be a priest, right? And I couldn't handle it. Lasted there about 18 months because I missed my mother, all right? And I was like cemented to my mother's leg, you know what I mean? So, but in that 18 months at Ushaw College in Durham, I learned a lot. I had a few strange experiences where I started seeing things coming through the windows at me and all this business, you know. So I was a very frightened child and very, very sensitive. And I spent a lot of time in the hospital infirmary with stomach pains, you know, and I know today that they were psychosomatic because I didn't know what was going on, you know. And I was having all these like hallucinations and visions and things, which mean a lot to me now. Yes. And then at some age, I was introduced to something called alcohol, right? And it changed my life completely. It made me feel free. I got immediately addicted to it, you know, at an early age. Talk about, you know, because my brother and me, we were altar boys at St. Joey's, you know, and we used to drink the altar wine before we went on, you know, and it made me feel warm, but it made me feel confident, you know. And then I spent, I worked at Victoria Central Hospital then in biomedical sciences, and I was quite good at it. I loved it, everything to do with health and well-being. And I climbed the ladder very quickly, got promoted quickly and stuff like that, you know, and became one of the bosses. And then we moved to Arrow Park Hospital, and everything started to go downhill then, because Victoria Central Hospital was a small hospital where everybody knew one another, you know. Yeah. But then we moved to Arrow Park and we all sort of started to go in different directions. So all our friendships over the years disappeared, you know. And then I found that if I ran down to the Stirrup pub or the Arrow Park Hotel at lunchtime, it made me feel better. Anyway, I'll speed the story up. Anyway, I used to do that. The drink got hold of me. It made me feel better, but I needed more and more and more. And in the end, I was caught drunk on duty. I lost my job. After that, I lost my wife and kids. After that, I lost my license. After that, I lost my health. And after that, I lost my home. And I ended up sleeping on a park bench. But I made 3 serious attempts to do myself in, and I was a failure at that as well. Right. But on the last occasion, something happened to me where the peace that passeth all understanding descended upon me. And I started to see all these visions. And I almost got the impression that I signed up for this, you know. And what happened is I almost like got turned round, picked up the arse, and this guidance said to me, we'll show you now, Joe, how it's done. Keep in touch and we'll show you one day at a time how it's done. And I've been doing that now for the last 32 years. My life's transformed completely. I have certain guards and guides and inspirers that help me from the invisible realms.
Yeah.
And they're here now, they're here because I always get the feeling, and I also get my dad popping in as well because he's in the world of spirit as well, And people, they tried to put me onto antipsychotic medications and stuff like that because of these things that were happening to me. But I realized today that this thing is naturally open to everybody. And basically, it helps you to get into your intuition, and you can lead an inspired life then if you just listen in to your heart of hearts and your soul. I've gone on a bit, but I wanted to give you the people that just a bit of a background in me. And what I do every morning is I tap on my heart, and I sort of get a feeling that it opens up, and I say, what's on the cards today? And I just try and go with that now. And since then, I've become, I went from science into the arts and into the healing arts. So I'm a Reiki master, whatever these things mean. And I do lots of different stuff. I'm a remedial massage therapist and blah, 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 and all that business, And I speak in light language as well, but I probably won't be doing any of that tonight, So there we are. That's my background. And I looked at your profile, and it's very interesting to me. And I'm sure that what you practice and what you teach and what you do will correspond with the understanding that I've got as well,
Yeah.
So there we are, darling. Loads of stuff there. I'll probably call you darling and love and everything. I hope you don't mind, but that's just okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right, sweetheart. So over to you, and go ahead. Tell us who you are and what's your name and where do you come from, number 2?
So my name's Isabelle. I'm a mum of 2 beautiful, beautiful children, and I live in New Brighton, so not far from where you grew up. Very similar sort of childhood to yourself. I was very open. I'd got a lot of visits. I come from quite a strong Roman Catholic background, but I was always very rebellious in it. And I think with my rebellion, I was also rebelled against, my own spirit quite a bit, my own spirituality. But yeah, I was always felt like my soul, and always knew there was, other things going on in the world that we didn't completely understand. But in the church, I just always felt, really displaced as a woman. And it wasn't really a place of connection as well. So yeah, I was really rebellious against my Catholic upbringing. And like yourself, found the drink as a young girl. I was really good at it. I was actually a holiday rep for a couple of years as well in my early 20s. So yeah, I was an experienced party lady. I could, keep up with the best of them. And then through my late 20s going into my 30s, I experienced a lot of trauma in quite a short period of time. Some of the stuff I went through was pretty horrific, but I'm so grateful for all of it because it got me on the path. I definitely had PTSD and anxiety disorders, and I also developed insomnia because I wouldn't go to sleep because I was having severe night terrors and sleep paralysis, and it was pretty crazy. And I ended up getting the insomnia, and then that sort of led to me having what people will call psychosis. So like yourself, a lot of things would visit me. I didn't really understand them at the time. It was really beautiful. I didn't have any audio or anything. It was more visual. I would see the flower of life patterns and all sacred geometry all made of this beautiful white light. I'd see animals would be coming into the room to me. very strange looking people that I believe are my ancestors and spirit guides and that sort of thing as well. But at the time, I had no sort of understanding what was going on with me. I'm just really lucky that I had my mum to support me as well. And it was a very scary time of my life, having that, well, not a breakdown, but a complete breakthrough. And then after a while, I was still experiencing like the divisions and that they sort of ceased to exist for a while. And I was still experiencing, you know, like the anxiety and the depression and all that sort of thing, and suffering from PTSD. And I read about something called Kambo. And I read that it was really good for people that had PTSD. I read a lot of testimonials that were online. And yeah, I just sort of went for it. I read up on it and sort of booked it the night before. So I didn't really know too much about it or what I was letting myself in for. And I went round to my friends, and there was a Kambo practitioner who was really lovely, made me feel really relaxed about the whole situation and that I was in safe hands. And yeah, I went for the treatment and I come out like a completely different person. It was like I'd seen the sky again for the first time when I come out. And I always remember that sky, how blue and how beautiful it was. So for those that don't know what Kambo is, it's a medicine that is used by the tribes in the Amazon jungle. There's several different tribes that use Kambo, and it comes from a frog, the Philomedusa bicolor frog, and it's the secretion that they use, and they use this for things like yellow fever, snake bites, fertility, sort of jungle ailments, and something called panema as well, which is like bad luck, bad energy. So I was really experiencing this panema when I come out of the treatment. It was like I'd spent the last couple of years bogged down in this hazy heaviness where I couldn't think straight, where I was just reliving trauma all the time. I was very much in my head. And yeah, I had this treatment. My panic attack stopped. I haven't had a panic attack since that day. And yeah, it changed me in many ways as well. Like I stopped smoking, I stopped eating meat. There was a lot of profound changes in my life. So they use Kambo for those sort of jungle ailments, but they also use it as like a hunting ritual because it heightens your senses and you feel more in tune to the nature around you. Yeah, and like the shaman will administer that to his village. So there is like a lot of sort of myths and legends around Kambo. We don't know how long it's been used for. All we know is that these legends, they're quite old, hundreds of years old, maybe longer. We don't know because there's no recordings of anything in the jungle. So yeah, the main legend is how Kambo was discovered, that there was a really powerful shaman called Kampun, and his village became very sick, and he was trying every sort of healing technique, every sort of medicinal plant, and nothing was working. So he drank a sacred brew called ayahuasca, and he went out into the jungle under the state of ayahuasca, and he asked the spirits of the jungle, how do I heal the people in my village? Please help me. And it is said that Mother Ayahuasca came to him, showing him what frog to take the secretion from, how to harvest the medicine, and then how to apply it to his villages. And he did what he was told. and it said that all the villagers became better and this unknown illness just disappeared. And when he died, that the spirit of the shaman lives on in the medicine to help people on the healing path. So that's like the most well-known legend of Cambo. But here, obviously, we have like sort of different diseases here in this country, and we're using Cambo for things like anxiety, depression, PTSD, diabetes, cancer as well, some cancers. There has been studies in what they call petri dishes, the little scientific dishes, with cancer cells and tumours, and some of them completely shriveled up and died, and a lot of them shrunk. And there's been tests in mice as well with pancreatic cancer. And yeah, I can't go around claiming anything. Getting in a lot of trouble if I do that. But yeah, and there's other studies on Cambo as well. But essentially it is a really intense cleanse. So some of the peptides and neuropeptides to break the blood barrier. That's why it's really good for like the PTSD and anxiety and so on. Addiction as well. Like since my practice, I've got people, well, they come in and do the work themselves. There is no magic medicine, but after treatments, people have come off crack cocaine and what have you, and really changed their life around. Yeah, and some of the peptides as well, they act like a key. They're so similar to the ones in our bodies. They act like a key, and they literally open up your cells and clean them out, all the toxins. So after my experience with Cambo, it was just so profound. I wanted to then go on to find more about it. I was really intrigued because it had changed my life so much. So I started assisting in circles with a master practitioner. And for me, going into Cambo, it was hearing a story of a lady who was in one of the circles, and she had like stage 4 lymphoma, which is what my father had. So it was quite close to home for me. And yeah, I think, with stage 4, they pretty much say, there's nothing we can do for you anymore, prepare for death sort of thing. And this lady is also, she had like fertility problems as well. I think she was told, if I remember, that there was no point having fertility treatments because she'll never have kids. And yeah, I basically watched this lady through natural medicines such as Cambo become completely cancer-free. So I think she's been cancer-free for about 6 years, 5-6 years now. And she's just had her 3rd child as well. So when I heard her story, I was like, because it was so close to my heart, I was like, I've got to go and study this. And I took a leap of faith and I booked a flight to Sri Lanka and I went and studied it there. And that's where I had my initiations as well. And like the first day of my training was the day that my father passed on as well. So I had like all these synchronicities like guiding me, because this isn't something I would ever have picked for me to do myself as well. It was really a guiding into it. And then Cambo really opened up so much for me spiritually wise. And then I was realizing like the things that I'd seen in the psychosis were actual, spiritual symbology. We're seeing like a lot of Celtic knots and infinity signs and all that sort of thing. So yeah, like I feel so blessed that, all the trouble that I went through has brought me on this path, and now I'm just helping a lot of other people as well. So yeah, it's just been such an incredible journey with the Cambo.
Absolutely fascinating. You don't half go on, don't you? When you're like, I've got a few friends like you who go on, but I go on myself as well. And I'm in the same sort of boat, but I still work in the fields of medicine and health and stuff like that, you know, and I'm not against anything at all, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not here to fight anything, but I won't have anybody force their beliefs on me, you're right.
Yeah.
And so if I'm given the information and people don't try, because when people try and force stuff down my throat, it sort of puts a block in me and I think, just get away from me, you know. So my whole thing is now, who knows, because medicine, you know, ordinary medicine, if you like, hasn't got all the answers to everything. And, you know, where I'm up to now is I'm 32 years now, coming up to 33 years, clean and sober. And it's important to me, you know, that because my whole thing is I'm a consultant in subtle energy medicine, really, you know, and that to me is that from source, right, if we stay in touch with source itself, right, that's basically the vibrational frequency that can create everything, you know. So if it can create everything, it can also disassemble everything as well, you know what I mean? So my whole thing is that to be directly in touch with source, you know, we need to be free of fear, free of the obstructions, because it's only the obstructions in the free flow of unconditional love, right? And I'm saying these words here, but it means something different to me now. It's when unconditional love is blocked, it causes dis-ease, right? And that ill at ease or illness, right, is an energetic thing, really, you know. And for me, and I'm only saying for me, and I'm not suggesting that anybody, you make your own mind up with information. I can't take anything else now, chemical, from outside of myself, you know what I mean? Because my thing is now that if I'm in touch with source consciousness, right, I ask now, because I'm always connected, if you like, most of the time, you know, and I just ask, look, I've got this problem here, can you show me what it is, or do I have to move in a certain way, and can you unlock and unblock me, please, you know? So that's the way I do things now. But don't get me wrong, I've like anything that moved, I'd have a go of it if it changed my mood, you know what I mean? And I worked in a laboratory where we had the most pure substances, right? And I'm like, depending on what day of the week it was, I'd have a go of that, go of that, go of that, you know. Now, on one of my attempts to take my own life, I injected myself with Russell Viper venom, right?
Oh, wow.
I was completely and utterly drunk out of my skull, and I just wanted to die because I was just creating so much destruction and unhappiness around me, you know, for not only myself, but also the people around me as well. And I couldn't handle it. So I worked in a laboratory where we did blood clotting tests and all that. And one of the reagents is called Russell Viper venom, right? And I injected myself and, right, I came round with a crowd around me, you know, that one. It wasn't for drink, it was for, you know, and I ended up in the intensive care unit, and that's why I got the sack from the hospital, because I was sacked because it was called misappropriation of laboratory reagents, right? But what they did then was they weren't very compassionate about addiction, addictive behaviors. They just sacked me, you know what I mean? And for years, I had a big resentment because I pleaded with them and I said, please, don't sack me. You can demote me, because I was one of the bosses, you know, you can demote me. I so love this field. And he said, no, you're a pain in the ass. You'll have to go because we can't trust you anymore. And that was the start of my rapid descent downhill, you know. And like you, I think I had to go through all those processes to get to that rock bottom, which was actually like the portal to the next dimension, I think, you know, and that's when all these things happened. But just to go back to when I was 11 years of age and I was in Ushaw College in Durham, seeing all these things coming through the windows, I would see all sorts of things. There'd be like alien type figures, there'd be angels, there'd be all this, you know, coming through. And when I left there, the bishop said that I could be sent anywhere to train in the world, right? But they wanted me to carry on with my training in the priesthood, you know. Now, I know why that is now, right? Because there are sort of sensitive people, right, who can be used for various purposes, right? I'm not going to get into that, but I know that you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I was guided away from that. But the biggest thing was I was very afraid. I went to St. Anselm's College then, Christian Brothers College. And it was like hell. I was terrified. I used to not go in. I'd go and get lost in the park on the way there and stuff because I was afraid all the time, you know. But I see now, Izzy, that it's fear. If we can be honest about being afraid, and share it with people who are going to help us back to our hearts, not give us any advice, because I honestly know that the solution for everybody's problems lies within them. And my job now is, through mindfulness and mindful breathing, I can help people to reconnect with the source of this intuition, and I can show them how to be guided by it, because that's my, and if you want to call that a soul, and I call soul source of unconditional love, that's what soul is to me. If we can just listen to the promptings and the guidance of our soul, and this is according to my experience, then your life will turn round and you'll be guided in the purpose of your life. Then you'll be put back on the path of your soul's purpose, with your own skills, your own strengths, your own abilities. And the big thing about it is, not only will it help you to care for yourself, but you'll also get into what's called service to others as well. You know, and I didn't understand any of this, you know, and I'm glad I'm on this side of it, because when I was on that side of it, it was like hell, you know what I mean? And the, you know, New Brighton and the Chelsea Reach, the Chelsea Reach, like, I became the Birkenhead bump champion, you know, of 1978 or something like that, you know, because when I used to drink, my hips started going and off I'd go, you know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. Other things that you put on, you know, and I know that you're very, let me just tell you this. I just live a day at a time now, you know, and I can feel these influences coming in. And lots of people have told me what's around me, but it doesn't matter to me now. I've been told that I'm a guardian of the daughters of Isis, right? Big deal, right? You know what I mean? That I'm working with what's called the Hathors. I think that's very nice, you know. And the seven sisters of the Pleiades, right? They're all guiding me. But you see, look, it's here now, right? Right. And I know that since I was born, I've been in the service of what's called the sacred feminine, right? And I didn't know what this meant, but I do now. And you see, look, I get sort of emotional when I talk about this, but it's like I'm on the right path now, you know, because I've been very mixed up about lots of things all my life, you know. But people, I sort of describe myself as gay from the waist up, you know what I mean? My bottom half works like a fella, but my top half works like a woman, you know. I'm very, very feminine. I'm very sensitive, you know, and it's caused me a lot of confusion, because I always try to like be tough and strong, like all the fellas are knocking around with, you know, but I was terrified all the time. And I tried all sorts of things, you know. I used to try and get drunk so it made me feel less afraid and stuff, you know. So where I'm up to now is, once I totally accepted myself as I was, things started to change completely, you know. And I know that the systems that you've got, is it called Mune Key?
Yeah.
You know, Mune Key to me corresponds very closely with the seven sisters, you know. And there's also, you know, the other thing, I've made a note of it because these are words that I wasn't too, the Nustas or Nusta, you know, stuff. Well, to me, when I read this, I thought, well, that's the seven sisters. It's like the Hathors. It's the seven chakras. You know, the principles are like Reiki principles. So maybe there's like a universal set of principles that have just got different names on it. So I'm going to shut up now and pass over to. So do you want to try and explain to me, you know, your 9 rites of passage, for example?
So the Nusta Carpe, that's not something I'm currently in service with at the minute. I'm still integrating it.
Okay.
But it's basically initiation into the 7 goddesses. Right. So they're all the nature. So it's like got some written down here actually. I made some notes. I'm dyslexic and dyspraxic, so
yeah,
that
me too. Look, and me too, and I'm also dyscalculic as well. You know, especially counting out money.
Yeah. So it's 7 rites from Peru, and it's initiation of sacred feminine energies of nature, Father, Son, and Mother Earth, the water, the ancestors, being in harmony, the wind, and connection to the Falcon Temple, which is your third eye as well. And like you said, like I think a lot of these ancient practices, they're all symbolic all around the world, but just have like different names, definitely. And I'm actually doing training, temple training under the Temple of Hathor at the minute.
Ah, well, there you go.
Yeah,
I'll keep my eye on you then, because apparently it's my job, you know.
You have to look after me.
Yeah. No, it's fascinating.
One too.
You talked, did you say about the hawk then, or the falcon?
Yeah.
Well, that represents to me, because I've done a lot of Egyptian stuff. I mean, I've been studying this for a long time, and that looks like Horus to me. And Horus is associated with the heart, but it's also associated with the Christ as well. And it's also associated with the pineal gland, because if you look at Horus, you can turn that round and it becomes hours, you see. So it's all associated with time, you know, and I didn't know any of this. And what I've tried to do is I've tried to bring me biomedical and medical knowledge in and link it up with the chakras. Yeah. So we've got, on the one hand, we've got the Western stuff, and on the other hand, we've got the Eastern stuff. And I'm trying to find credible links between the two. And of course, they link up perfectly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I've got a very scientific mind. I mean, I was pretty much an atheist up until about 8 years ago, you know, until I started having my experiences. But yeah, it's everything's interlinked. All these ancient cultures, they knew stuff, and it's all just hidden. It's hidden in plain sight, isn't it?
It is, you know, and I think there's more and more and more of us emerging now. And with that, you know, safety in numbers and more courage comes through as well. But exactly. What I won't do is, and then when you're talking about me, I used to be a rebel, right? When I drank, I was horrendous. You know what I mean? I was so destructive. It was just unbelievable. But if I didn't have drink down me, I was a timid little panic attack, anxiety prone person. You know what I mean? And so that's what the drink did to me. It almost released me. And I needed more and more and more of it as I went along, you know what I mean? But just to go back to all this other stuff, I came out of the psychiatric, I hope it's my last visit to the psychiatric department, I hope so. You know, I was in there for 8 weeks, and I was introduced to something called Indian head massage, right? And Reiki. And I can remember I was offered it, because they don't force anything on you. But he said to me, do you want to have a go at this Reiki? And I still had me biomedical head on. I said, no, that won't work for me. And the person said to me, he said, you know, the last time you had it, how did it affect you? I said, I've never had it, because I was a horrible bastard, you know, I was arrogant and everything. That hasn't changed. But he said to me, right, what was it like last time you had it? And I said, no, I've never had it. It won't work for me. He said, do us a favor. Don't knock it till you've tried it. Right. And so I sat in the seat. He applied Reiki to me. He did some Indian head massage, changed my life completely, right? Because you know that when you had and saw the sky and everything become clairvoyant and clear, that's what Reiki started to do to me. Yeah. And it's almost like I felt things leaving me. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I had to sort of look at it then objectively and think, hang on a second, maybe there's more to all this stuff than meets the eye, you know. And what happened to me was then I went down a different pathway for about 15 years, where I went into sports therapy, sports and exercise training, massage, and then the massage took me into remedial massage, and then I became a tutor of Indian head massage then, and it led me into aromatherapy, and you know. So on the one hand, I've got all this, you know, biomedical stuff, and on the other hand, I'm a practitioner, you know. And then I became this, you know, I did the Reiki training, and then I became a so-called master of Reiki. But to me, I don't put any names on this stuff now. I know what it feels like. I get a sense of where people are blocked, right? Yeah. And I just ask me heart, because I just say, please guide me and show me what needs to be done, you know. And it seems to be working. So over to you. Say something about something now, because I'm going on too much.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, we can heal ourselves with, you know, the connection of source. We all have the ability to heal ourselves. I think some people may need aids through doing that, because they're not quite there yet for the understanding, and that's where like things like Cambo can be really useful as a crutch while they're going through that. But yeah, energy, this universal energy, I mean, and just, you know, most medicines are free as well, like to heal ourselves, like the breath, connecting to nature, singing, movement. That is all like the best stuff we can give ourselves sitting under the sun. You know, there is nothing like the free medicines that the universe already provides. And I think when people are sick, it is, like you said, it's a dis-ease in the body, and energetic ones can manifest as physical diseases. So yeah, if you're going through a bit of a bad spiritual, you know, a bit of turmoil in your spirituality, and you know, bad things can happen to you, you're definitely gonna, you know, as people, we hold it, especially women as well. We keep a lot in our womb energy portal, we carry a lot there. But we tend to like just carry things and carry them and carry them and carry them, and they just stagnate, don't they? You know, if you look at animals, I don't know, like say a deer jumps in front of your car, and it's in your headlight, it sees you coming towards it, and it'll jump out the way, and it'll jump into the field, and it'll give itself a shake off, and then it'll crack on with the rest of its day. And we don't do anything like that. We don't shake it off. So it is really important to sit with ourselves and, you know, ask ourselves, you know, what's going on there? Where do you think that's come from? And just trying to reach out for the medicine that is all around us, our voices as well, singing. I do not believe that there is anything more healing than the sound of our own song. And a lot of people go, well, but I can't sing. I mean, like, I'm not an amazing singer, but I love singing. It's part of my daily practice. And everyone tells me I've got a beautiful voice. And that's because I'm singing with my medicine. Yeah. I'm not pitch perfect. I'm singing with my medicine. And, you know, a lot of people feel really nervous about singing, you know, and it's just so stupid, because we're worthy of that healing to ourselves as well. So yeah, there's many things that can help us heal without having to take a chemical, without having to reach out for this, that, and the other, because it's all around us and in us as well, completely.
I agree. You should have seen the state of me. I was a month ago in the Floral Pavilion singing my head off, you know, because it was disco fever night or something, you know, and I was in there giving it loads and singing my head off, you know, and you just, because it's energetic, isn't it? You know, you feel fantastic afterwards. But one thing I had to learn was I had to get over myself, right? And that was hard, because I was like a massive people pleaser. I didn't know how to say no to people. So this was part of the, what will they think of me? But when I got a few ales down me, it was like piss off and all that, you know, the rebel had come out, and it gave me the courage, you know, they used to call it Dutch courage. But I've had to go through the process naturally now and learn basically to grow up, you know. And when I say grow up, it doesn't become, you know, miserable and responsible. It just means to be more responsible for your emotional state, really. And as you say, it's not just women who suppress emotions, it's fellas as well, in a big way, you know. And that's why when drink comes in, there's so many fellas kick off. You know, I used to look out for the biggest fella in the pub, thinking I'm going to have him, you know. And then the people who'd look after me, they'd drag me away quick and throw me in the corner, you know, where he's had too much, you know. So it was all this stuff that I was compressing and repressing. But you mentioned something about the throat, you know. I'm beginning to see more and more. We're going through a time now where people are starting to express their true feelings. But I know this, that if it's not transformed through an open and flowing heart, it can be very destructive. It goes from the solar plexus into the head, right? And it causes murder, you know. So to me, the heart, if you like, is like the moderator. It calms it down. It gives it clarity, and people start to be able to see things much more clearly, you know. And that's what I'm trying to help people with. I'm trying to help them to get back out of the head and into the heart, and just start to understand what the heart is really. And it's a transformer. It's the seat of really infinite intelligence and stuff like this. Now, I know I'm saying woo-woo words here, and I don't care, because it means such a lot to me. And I'm trying to translate this into medical language. And I'm dragging all sorts of consultants to Tai Chi and to yoga, because they're starting to believe this. because they're all stressed to hell. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. But what you said about the throat is, it's so important to be able to completely and utterly express ourselves and be truthful about it, but in a way that's not destructive, you know, and that's a skill in itself as well. Now, you mentioned womb. I've, for some unknown reason, and because of my link to the sacred feminine, and because of my understanding of anatomy and physiology, and also the metaphysical stuff as well now, I know that women hold a lot of sort of repressed emotions and dis-ease in their wombs, you know, and, you know, it's mostly to do with the root and the sacral chakras, really, you know. And again, I think more and more women, it's almost like there's a wave of consciousness coming through now that's almost like allowing them to go back and disentangle all the stuff that's gone on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and I think I'm very interested in something called womb ecology, really, and that's everything to do with how babies are born, you know. It's about forest births, it's about water births and everything, you know, because I'm interested in all this sort of stuff, because to me the womb is the portal, and it's the entrance of the children coming in. That's their entrance into the world, and everything that can be done to facilitate a clear entry, right, has got to be something that's important, including keeping hold of the placenta for an hour or two, you know, before it's nipped, you know, the umbilical cord. If the mum can hang on, because that provides such a powerful oxytocin thing, you know. I know quite a bit about this because I've studied it for a long time, you know, because hormones are important, and oxytocin, the bonding hormone, that really cements a powerful thing. But more importantly, it's also helps with natural immunity as well. So that's why breastfeeding is important as well, you know.
Completely,
So you know, I know that you recently got involved with, I don't know whether it's recent, but something called the womb room. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Oh yeah, well, we're in it. We're going live from the womb room now.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, this is just where I do some practicing here, and I offer massage and shamanic womb massage as well. Yeah, so as you said, you know, there's a lot going on in there for women. It doesn't matter what sort of life you've had, women will tend to be keeping a lot in there. So yeah, I keep that space very sacred for them, because it's, you know, it's very vulnerable stuff that we're talking about, you know, like child loss, sexual trauma, you know, horrific childbirths as well, you know, like you carry the trauma on from that too. So yeah, it's just really giving a safe space for a sister to come, be seen, be heard, and to receive treatment as well. And it's a 2-hour treatment that consists of massage, Mayan massage techniques around the womb, shamanic journey, removing emotional armor as well, and balancing all the elements in the body too. So yeah, there's quite a lot in that 2-hour slot. But yeah, completely, you know, I had traumatic birth with my daughter. We both almost died, and she was an emergency C-section. I come into the world backwards. I tried to come feet first, which is about right for me. But yeah, it's and that trauma of being born, like that's our first trauma. I remember we're getting like manhandled, taken away from our mum, cleaned, umbilical cord snipped. You know, naturally we shouldn't be doing any of that, you know. I was actually, me and Amy Gigi went and did a Munankai ceremony for birth doulas, so the like shamanic midwives. Wow, what an incredible group of women. Like, yeah, I learned so much from them. Yeah, there needs to be more of this.
I agree. And women for women and men for men, you know, initially, you know, I think that's important. I mean, I know a lot about this because I'm very interested in endocrinology and the link between East and Western medicine, you know, and, you know, I believe there's some steam cleaning devices they can use as well, you know, for yoni cleaning and stuff like this. You know,
Yoni steam. Yeah.
Yeah, yoni steaming and stuff. Because I work with a lot of tantric practitioners, and that's something that's misunderstood as well. Because
Yeah,
tantra's got a bad name because there's like red, white, and black tantras,
yeah,
and it all depends on your attitude and your mentality, really,
of
But what
course.
I think is there's certain stages in both men and women's life when it becomes less sexual and more spiritual, and that's why, it's almost like a valve turns round then. And this is where Kundalini awakening naturally comes, and there's people stimulating Kundalini awakening inappropriately and they're going off their heads with it. You see what I mean? So
Yeah,
I do understand the energetics of this. And I think it's fantastic that women are getting together. The big thing about these things is they're no longer alone, but fellas understand. Fellas are becoming more understanding about this as well. There's a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. I don't know whether you've ever heard of that, but it's really about your attitude, first of all, to yourself and to your body. And she's got this thing where you can do a mantra and it's all about you must love your anus. Right. And I think that's great. Because when I first heard it, I thought she was talking about astrology and things. No, but she wasn't. And she was saying basically part of the conditioning and the program that we went through, Victoriana wise, right, was to keep us away from the dirty, smelly bits. You know what I mean? And I think that we've got to get back into the dirty, smelly bits and understand that that's all part of us as well, so that we're not fragmented. I've got no idea what I'm talking about this, but it's really is getting to know what all the smelly and all the holes are for and everything, and looking at it in an objective way, because the body, when it's all reconnected, becomes a perfect antenna then for cosmic consciousness. You know what I mean? And we've got to, so this is your sort of Andean thing, really, and the Peruvian stuff, because where that takes me back to is Lake Titicaca, right? And also Pachamama as well, because they're all linked to all, again, it's back again now. I get like a thing on the back of my head to say, go ahead, son, you're doing well, So I think rather than getting too lost in the theory of it and the names, I think if people can just become aware that within them, if they sort of ask for help, they'll start to feel different guiding forces in them,
Yes.
And there's nothing to be worried about at all, right? If you're working with somebody who's been through the process, because people get they fear that they're being possessed by this, that, and the other. I don't believe in that now. I just believe that every time they get afraid, it's another learning lesson and it's an obstruction that needs to be let go of. That's where I'm up to with this stuff now. So there's lots and lots of different stuff. I mean, do you work with fellas at all, or is it just mostly you stick to the women's groups?
Well, men can come in. They do have that energetic space there.
Good.
They do have that there, but I've never treated a man as of yet. Yeah, but they are more than welcome to come in.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think because I think I work with a lot of sort of people who've been like professional boxers and they've been bouncers and stuff like that, And it's amazing to see how these really tough, strong men now are becoming more in touch with their soft side. You know what I mean? They're becoming much more visceral. And I think that that's part of natural thing. I think the menopause is really a turnaround, really, And I think what happens is they get such a big hormonal change, It's like men start washing. I'm going to get in trouble here now. Men start hoovering and washing the dishes more after menopause, male menopause, in order to give them an understanding of the feminine aspects of what it is to be fully human, right? And some women start to grow beards and play darts better, So I think that's the universe's irony, But seriously, I think there's something in it. That the first half of your life, you seem to be one gender. And in the second half, if it's all natural, you switch round to get an idea of the next gender. Now, people listening,
coming into a union.
Say again?
A divine union.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that that's what that really is. If we can get out of the way and cast aside our heads with all these so-called modern theories and just let nature take its course, Play it by ear.
I mean, I see a lot of men that come into my practice for Cambo, And, you know, because of the toxicity of that, men can't cry, can't express their emotions and all that bullshit. I get a lot of men that come in and the before I haven't even touched them with any medicine or anything, and they're crying like little babies. They just want to be seen. They want to be heard, you know, not that little injured child is in there asking, you know, to be seen and understood. But yeah, it's lovely when I'm seeing like the men doing the work.
Yeah.
It's really good.
No, I think it's a universal balancing process, as long as we don't let our heads take over, because that's the problem, isn't it? You know, caput means head. So capitalism, patriarchy and all that, it's had its day now. But it doesn't mean to say, though, that the feminist side of things need to fight it and pick on them and say, look what you've done to us. No, because the feminine side, you know, the sacred feminine, especially the vagus nerve, is to do with rest and digest and recuperation and compassion and care and vision and understanding. So the feminine, really, if there was going to be a sort of gender to a god, in my view, it would be feminine. You know, it would be the sacred feminine, because I think that the feminine is really the intelligent one, you know, and what it does is it basically gives the information to the masculine, who's there to guard and do the heavy lifting and stuff like that. You know, you used a lovely expression before about manhandling and childbirth, you know, and I think for the child to come out into an artificial environment of bright lights and to get tugged out and all that, unless it was necessary, you know, I think that's a trauma right from the start, really, you know.
Completely.
So maybe in all these treatments that are coming up now, we're having to go backwards in a particular sequence, even through the birth canal, back into the womb, and then out of the womb, through the conception process and back to the universe. That's how I see all this stuff now. I've got friends, you know, who are, I'm a rebel in all sorts of ways now, because I'm helping people now to get associated with homeschooling now, and also to back to nature, you know, especially young kids. You know, I have friends who run something called Conquers Earth School, you know, and basically it's young children coming through and they're being given forest skills as well. They're doing like whittling and they're making magic potions and all this sort of stuff, but naturally. That's down in Dorset, you know. Wow. So there'll be information coming up on that in the next few months. But I'm down a week after next. I'm going down to Glastonbury to do some stuff down there, you know, because I'm one of these so-called grid workers as well, you know. So I do all that stuff.
Fab.
Is he not in a million years would I thought that scientist Joe would be doing this, you know, because I've got a PhD in medicine, right? And I'm doing all this other weird stuff. But you know what? To me, this is about balancing those things up, you know.
Completely.
Sorry, love, go on.
Completely. I mean, and like, you know, you can match the science to all these teachings as well, you know, with it's there, you know, like quantum physics absolutely blows my mind. How people can't see how powerful they are and what a powerful creator they are. I mean, it's science. That isn't woo-woo. That is scientific fact. We are bending light waves and matter just by witnessing it. It's yeah, people don't realize that this is a very special place to be. I'm working on grids like you're doing as well. You know, it's so needed.
Well, we're all in this together, you know. I think that each person on the planet has got a key, you know, and if they can work with their own strengths and abilities, forget what they're not good at, because the whole curriculum, it focuses on what you're crap at and tries to get you something that you're not naturally inclined towards. Exactly. Waste of breath, waste of time, waste of energy, causes people to go into suicidal thinking at an early age because they just don't feel natural about it. So that's what Conquers Earth School and all these Earth schools, it's getting kids in, and I've developed something called the I am approach. And the I am approach is working with what they're naturally and essentially good at. So they're focusing on what's strong in them, not what's wrong with them. You see what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I might be good at certain things, right? And Billy down the road might be good at fixing other things. that's how people are starting to come together now. You know what I mean? It's absolutely great the way things are moving.
It is.
So I think that we're on the right path. I'm into quantum mechanics and quantum science because that's what I really lead with now. Different dimensions, different spheres of consciousness. You know, the new tree of life, which is the old tree of life now, where we've moved from the 10 sphere tree back into 12, you know, and that we've been blocked off for various reasons for a long time from accessing the full potential of what it is to be human, you know. So it's lots and lots of people are beginning to understand this now. And I believe that the 12 possibilities of what it is to be fully human are also associated with the 12 cranial nerves. And the cranial nerves, they actually they feed your facial muscles, right? And believe it or not, the way that you hold your face, right, determines the way that the energy flows in your body, right? So that's why a smile is so important, because it opens your throat. It causes your heart to express itself fully. But if you're a miserable bugger like I was for years, it causes your throat to close, all the energy goes down, gets stored in your solar plexus, and it's just waiting for the victim to come by so you can fire it at them. You know what I mean? So that's what this is all about, you know. This has been great, this. I mean, we can maybe talk about quantum physics maybe somewhere down the line, you know.
Oh, definitely. One of my favorite subjects. 100%.
So my plan is I'm trying to do, I think I've been working with Amy to try and set up doing a couple of little like free workshops, really, just to introduce people to the neuroscience of mindful breathing, and also about expressing themselves fully, you know. But what I do in New Brighton is, and I'll be going down there in the morning, I'll be swimming a couple of miles from Egremont Ferry, right, up past the lighthouse, you know, because I do a lot of this wild water swimming now.
Fab, yeah, I'll probably see you down there at some point.
All right, well, give us a shout, because I did that cross Mersey swim
quite a lot.
Yeah, I did that cross Mersey swim a couple of weeks back, and it was like it was like one of the most fantastic days I've ever had in my life. It was fantastic, you know. I felt exhilarated.
Well,
say again, love.
My friend did it as well.
Yeah. So I make a joke about the whirl, you know. It's woo-woo is wonderful for well-being on the whirl, you know what I mean, all the W's. But woo-woo could also be woo-woo in Chinese, which basically means the flow of love, you know. And I know that Moonai Ke or Moonai Ki, it means the same thing. It's all about allowing this flow of unconditional love and to just be yourself more than anything else is. Find yourself, be yourself, and create something beautiful from yourself, you know.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you say, love? Sorry, you missed that.
I couldn't say it better than that.
Oh, well, we've come to time, really, more or less now. So if anybody wants to get in touch with you or get some information on like the womb room, it's funny saying that. I love saying that, the womb room, right? But also, if anyone's interested in there's a site called wombecology.com, right?
Okay.
And there's loads of sort of similar stuff that we're talking about here, and all about really getting back to nature, you know, because I think more than anything else is I will not ingest anything or have anything injected into me, right, unless I've got full and absolute information from both sides, you know what I mean? And how do I know what's good for me? I trust my heart and my soul to guide me from one moment to the next. Now, I'm not trying to cause any trouble, but I think sometimes we can get distracted and influenced, right, if we use our head to work things out. So I'd say, throw your head away, get into your heart and ask your heart, what's the best thing for me? Now, here's the important thing is, what's good for you might be the opposite for me. And that's the important thing is, you've got to, in my view, you've got to work right from your own intuition and inspiration, you know.
Completely. And really trust that as well.
Yeah. And it's hard, isn't it, love? It's something that you've got to, I mean, obviously you make loads of mistakes, right? But just trust yourself.
I'm always working on myself, constantly work in progress.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's about. I mean, it's called evolution, isn't it? Or ascension or self-actualization or whatever that. So
Yeah.
listen, my love, how could people get in touch with you? Right. Would you put some links in the comments?
Yeah, I'll put some links on the bottom of this.
Okay.
In the comments section for
Okay.
people. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, that's great.
And I've got no doubt that we'll knock into each other physically at some point, and that'll be nice too.
Yeah. Well, I've got some big things coming up as well. Some big projects I've been working on as well. So that's probably another talk.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fine. That's fine. So let me just feel if there's anything else that needs to be said, I think. No, that's wonderful, that, and I'm glad that we know similar people and stuff, and it almost seems I'm also working on something to maybe have a great big free festival in Sefton Park in Liverpool next year as well. Do you know Jimmy Bongo?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, right. Well, Jimmy's a very good friend of mine. So we're thinking that maybe we can get something like a big free thing where people just sort of turn up. We're only working on it, it's only in the early stages, but people turn up, bring their own food, bring a bit more in case people can't afford it, you know, a proper sort of thing, you know, a bit like the old days of Woodstock. And I think Jimmy said we could call it good stock, you know what I mean? So that would be something, you know.
Fabulous.
All right, my love. So
like
thanks very much indeed. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, although I did most of the talking like normal, but never mind. And
thank you so much for having me, Joe.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And
I'll probably see you down in the river.
Yeah, you probably will. Yeah, right. And have a lovely weekend. And hopefully we'll have another one of these a couple of months down the line. Okay.
Yeah. Perfect, Joe. Thank you so much. Much
pleasure,
love.
my love. Bye bye. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Bye.